Regular programming for Pride and Progress and the Right Stuff has been preempted this evening to bring you this special video, 1986, a year in review. We will have a minimum of commercial interruptions. And now to this very important video.
It has been a year of defeat in the Supreme Court in Washington. It has been a year of activism, unlike any since June 1969 and the Stonewall riots.
Gay rights! When do we want them? Now! What do we want? Gay rights! Now! What do we want? Gay rights! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gay rights! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gay rights! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gay rights! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gay rights! When do we want it? Now!
This videotape highlights some of those important and colorful moments as they occurred in the year 1986. Our year begins December 1st, 1985, as the newly formed Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation demonstrate outside the New York Post.
Don't buy the lies! Don't buy the lies!
This demonstration has been started to bring attention to the media misrepresentation of gays and lesbians. My name is Gregory Polovakis, and I'm the chairperson of the Anti-Defamation League. If you do a sort of deconstruction of the New York Post headlines and articles, what you see is that the Post has extrapolated from individual instances of gay life, representations of all of our lives. We are being defamed. We are being misrepresented throughout the Post. Look at the headlines. They're talking about AIDS dens, sex dens, using plurals when the singulars should be used. The article on the Mine Shaft or the bookstores talks about gay men as men without friends, without families, without lovers. That's bullshit. It's, again, misrepresenting us.
Please welcome Councilwoman Ruth Messenger.
My message to this newspaper is simple. With freedom of speech and freedom of the press must go a heightened sense of public responsibility. I believe that what the lesbian and gay community is doing here is precisely what they ought to do. They have singled out the Post as an organ in the media which is pandering to sensationalism and conveying them the inappropriate and incorrect message that AIDS is a gay disease. And we are simply calling on the Post to exercise that responsibility which goes with freedom of the press and to provide full, accurate public information and to call for additional funding to cope with AIDS.
Here we have November.
Hey, everybody's kidding.
Gay bars are dens of death. Here we have a suggestion that we're all carrying a disease and we need to be ostracized from civil society. Here we have an editorial saying that we are not humanitarian, that we don't care about the people in our own community who are dying. Where the hell have they been?
2, 4, 6, 8, stop the lies, stop the hate. 2, 4, 6, 8, stop the lies, stop the hate.
Sure. Essentially, this demonstration is a kickoff to the Gay and Lesbian Anti-Defamation League activities. And we've chosen the New York Post because in this city especially it represents the kind of sensationalism and yellow journalism that we've been fighting for 15 years. But it's sort of the epiphany of hate journalism. The New York Post has been using sensationalism and scare tactics all over New York City to develop a campaign of hate against homosexuals based on the AIDS crisis.
The Anti-Defamation League really began at a dinner party about 2 months ago when a number of us were sitting around wondering why nothing was being said by those gay organizations that are in place to point out the bigoted, defamatory remarks being made against us. And a number of us thought, let's hold a town meeting, and that's exactly what we did with that kind of response that you saw of 700 people coming to a church in the village. It's really a handful of men and women, some old activists from GAA days, including Vito Russo, Jim Owls, and Arnie Kantrowitz, and new people like Marcia Pally and Alan Barnett and myself.
My name is Marcia Pally of the Gay and Lesbian Anti-Defamation League, and I'm on the steering committee of the organization as well as on the press committee. This is an example of a very public response to the Post's very damaging reporting about gay men and lesbians, and in particular regarding the AIDS crisis. Some of our response is not quite as flamboyant as this, letter campaigns, phone calls, but when we feel that we are particularly oppressed or attacked by an outlet, a venue such as the Post, we intend to picket and demonstrate as we are doing today.
Had any let up. We've been working on the gay rights bill, for 15 years, and especially since January. Then the council tried to amend the bill, and we were back on the streets trying to fight that, which we successfully did when the mayor vetoed it. And then the Supreme Court issued its decision. We had to fight a referendum for a while, which we turned back. It's been no let up. I need a vacation.
Hi, this is Andy Hum for the Gay Cable Network. We're standing out here with a bunch of gay people and some opponents of Intro 2 in front of City Hall waiting to get in here for the hearing. This bill was first introduced in 1971 when it was the first such bill introduced in the country. New York seems to be about the last city which is going to pass it. There have been 50 cities plus the state of Wisconsin which have passed it. We can expect a tumultuous hearing today, and the reason that these people are smiling back here is because we're going to pass this bill in committee today, and we expect it to pass it on the floor on March 20th.
I have testified in support of this legislation as a member of Congress and as mayor, and I hope this will be the last occasion on which I will need to testify, and that this bill will be approved by your committee and ultimately passed by the full council.
I dismiss as laughable the contention that because the proposed law states that it will not be construed to endorse any particular behavior or way of life. It does not imply support for homosexuality. It either does or it doesn't, and the law cannot make otherwise what is patently clear. Make no mistake about it. Passage of Intro 2 will signal that there ought not to be any distinctions drawn between homosexuality and heterosexuality. Employers and landlords would be required to treat homosexuality as a neutral characteristic that is irrelevant to employment and rental decisions. Employers could not restrict the kinds of casual signs of affection between homosexuals that commonplace between heterosexuals, regardless of the impact on business and other employees. Homosexuals could and would walk arm in arm in halls and in lobbies of apartment houses with impunity, regardless of the protests of other tenants having children.
These hearings are given basically, I think, for the heterosexual community in the sense that they want to be able to get their licks in, and this year we have we're optimistic that the bill will at least get out of this committee. Whether or not it will pass the full council, we don't know, but we're still very optimistic.
The majority of our community, which are very apolitical, the people who are very scared off by politics or anything that, even the hint of any sort of political activity scares them off and sends them running. We want to try to draw those people into the movement and make them realize that being political is something that is good for them and necessary, if for all our survival.
Well, I
think everybody is extremely apprehensive and excited at the same time because it looks like the bill is going to pass. However, there's been a lot of, maneuvering going on here today, and so it's made people quite anxious. So that's sort of what the mood is, but it's optimistic at this point still.
The vote passed 21 to 14. It will now come before the mayor for a public hearing and for signature, and it will become the law of New York City very shortly.
The majority leader of the city council retired or announced his retirement last year, I was confident that we could pass the bill. But that doesn't mean that the opposition laid down and played dead. And a lot of people, because they saw people like Archbishop O'Connor and people like that getting into gear, they were worried. I always felt that we had the votes, and eventually we won 21 to 14 by a significant margin. People who were involved in the fight were pretty sure it was going to come off. But the thing is, you're not just concerned about winning a vote, you're also concerned about what are you projecting to the public, what are you telling them about gay people, and I think we did pretty well in that fight. The other thing that we had going for us this time was, that's changed over the years, is the media is a lot more sympathetic towards us, and they're willing to let us tell our stories more than they used to be. And you've got gay people on the inside who are no longer trying to stab you in the back, because they don't want to betray themselves with their people. They're willing to do things for you, put you on TV, etc., and not just exploit you.
On Sunday, April 20th, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force held a board of directors meeting at the New York Gay and Lesbian Community Services Center in Manhattan. Gay Cable Network was at the center interviewing members of the board and others attending that meeting.
We are outside the New York City Gay and Lesbian Community Services Center today, where the meeting of the board of directors of the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force is taking place. Now, as we reported 2 weeks ago on Pride and Progress, there is a great deal of controversy within the organization right now, primarily focused on the recent resignation of co-chairman Rosemary Curapat. Today, we are interviewing members of the board of directors, and our first interviewee is Sarah Throne, who is secretary of the organization. Welcome to Pride and Progress, Sarah.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
Sarah, what, in your opinion, is the future of NGTF right now?
Well, I can firmly say after a day and a half of board meetings, I think we have a very strong future. Even before I became associated with the task force, the one thing I heard from everyone in the New York City community that I spoke with about the task force is it is the one organization that most deserves to survive, because our role in terms of work in Washington involving AIDS-related issues is so important to the community, and the community supports us. We just have had a number of setbacks, and we constantly have to regroup and reorganize to address them.
What's the current financial situation of the organization, Sarah?
We have gone quite a ways in reducing the debt that Ginny Apuzzo inherited quite some years ago. We are under very tight budgetary controls. We are trying to operate within what we consider to be a relatively small budget for an organization that is doing an enormous amount of work on issues involving gay and lesbian women in the entire country. So we have some debts that we are working on, but we have no doubt that we will be able to continue to work within our budget.
What about membership?
Our membership has grown. In fact, even during Rosemary's 8 months working for us, our membership has slightly increased. What I constantly feel, though, is that there are many of you out there who are expecting us to do a lot of work for you but are not supporting us with your membership dollars. We also feel that because of the number of other emergencies we've been working on, perhaps we haven't constantly been telling you enough about what we do for you on a daily basis. So I think one thing the task force is going to do is try and remind its members and people in the community of what we're doing for you and why you should be giving us your dollars.
Now, 12 years ago when NGTF was formed, you were the only National Gay Services Organization.
Yeah.
Now we have Lambda Legal, we have several other groups. What specifically do you see NGTF's role being in the national gay community?
The National Gay Task Force is first and foremost the national organization that the community identifies with. It's the national organization that the media identifies with. It's the national organization that's been out there with that lengthy history. What do we do that's distinctly different? I think our clearinghouse is distinctly different. I think our capacity to be responsive to problems as they spring up witnessed the fact that we were right there at the beginning of monitoring the violence issue. We were right there with a crisis line when not even the federal government had been responsive in terms of a crisis line. As a matter of fact, when the federal government had finally dawned on them that they needed a crisis line, who did they come to get training about an AIDS crisis line? They came to the National Gay Task Force. I don't think that was a mistake, and I don't think that it was, something that just happened. I think they did it because, in fact, we have been at the cutting edge of what happens to gays and lesbians in this country for over a decade now.
As we stand out here outside of the community center, the board of directors meeting goes on. We've heard from a wide range of people today, everyone from a former executive director to a volunteer. And clearly NGLTF has made a lot of promises today. Now the interesting thing will be in the coming year is, will they be able to follow through with them? And we here at Gay Cable Network will be with you, reporting to you as we hear it, up to the minute, what exactly this National Gay Service Organization is doing for you, the gay community. For the Gay Cable Network, I'm George Trahanis.